Today on This Week in Startups, we are live in HD, stunning, beautiful HD. It only took us 2 years, but thank you to TriCaster. Today on the program, the angel investor extraordinaire, Cyan Banister, is with us. Vivek Wadhwa, who is the former TechCrunch columnist who got a massive upgrade and is now a columnist for the Washington Post, will be joining us. Lon's going to read the news. Tyler's going to give us insights, and you are going to love it. Let's do it.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Introducing the newest members of the This Week in Startups producer program. Today's guests are Cyan Banister, founder and CEO of Zivity, and Vivek Wadhwa, a scholar, former entrepreneur, and columnist for Bloomberg Businessweek.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups. You'll notice something. I have bags under my eyes. That's for two reasons. One, I've been playing poker till 4 in the morning for 2 nights in a row at the poker game that doesn't happen at the Wall Street Journal's D conference. And I wasn't up to 16K at one point. 16,000 clams. And we are in stunning HD. Massive applause. Thank you, TriCaster. Thank you. Oh, my God, stunning HD on Justin TV, on Ustream, and on YouTube.com live. It's a dream come true, and so is this show based on the guests we have. I am so excited. It's been a big week for news, and we're going to get right to it. And before I do that, I just want to tell all you guys that Trada is an amazing sponsor of the program and an amazing product. Do you guys have the screenshots of Trada, by the way, that I asked for? Probably not. No. Let's get those for next week, because you have to see the Trada interface. You go in there, you say what you want to spend your cost per click campaign as, and then all of these little social media buzzy bees go in, these SEM experts, and attack. And they fight to get you cost per click at a price lower than you'll get them for yourself. That's how they get paid. They get paid on how much money they save you. And it is awesome. It's the awesomest, most professional, most effective way to spend pay-per-click advertising. And as you know, we only accept partners on this program who we endorse their product or use it, and we're starting to use it. It's an amazing product. They have 1,000 of these paid search experts there, and they will create the keywords and the ad copy for you. You know all those little ads you see on Google? There's a reason why Google's such a big company. There's a reason why people spend so much money on it. They work, and you can get traffic for just pennies per visit, and if you can take those pennies per visit and then get 1,000 of them and then get 10 of those to convert, you can make a real business. It's called business. It's called marketing, and it just works. So Christine Winkler, the organizer of the Twist Paris meetup, referred the team at Market Leader Live to Trada, and they've been using it for now, I don't know, a couple of weeks, and they're promoting their series of online classes to teach business English inside of Second Life. I mean, this is a weird little niche thing.
They're teaching
inside of Second Life, and they optimized. And they doubled their number of newsletter sign-ups, and they optimized their local pay-per-click efforts in their top 5 markets, and it has been brilliant for them. And it'll be brilliant for you. I guarantee you it's going to work. Go sign up, and you'll get 10% discount. No, sorry. There's no 10% discount for you. There's a 10% discount to languagelab.com if you go to languagelab.com/twist. They were one of the people who spent money with them. Remember I said if you spend money with them, you'll get a commercial?
Right, yes.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm reading that commercial for Market Leader Live. Go to languagelab.com/twist. You'll get 10% off. Trada is making businesses work. Go to work for Trada if you are a search engine marketing expert. Thank you to Trada for sponsoring the show. And it's your Geary. And really, if you love the program and you love the fact that it's free and it's now in HD and it's 2 times a week, maybe someday it'll be 3, maybe someday it'll be 5 days a week on Clear Channel if they ever, shoot the lock off their wallet and really start paying for, the demands of the talent here. When I say talent, I mean these 2 knuckleheads, Tyler and Lon. They're holding up the deal with their
really?
demands.
I mean, I've got a 13-page rider, but it's all really important stuff.
It's good stuff. All right, let's welcome our guest. Cyan Banister is with us. She's an angel investor I've known for a long time, and she's awesome. Cyan, are you there?
I am here. Hello, everyone.
Wow, you look great in that stunning HD, and I see an Iron Man behind you.
Yep, giant Iron Man.
Is that a poster or is that actually Iron Man?
The life-size Iron Man sculpture that lights up.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome.
I like that you asked if it was actually Iron Man. Now, is
No.
that Tony Stark behind you?
No,
or is that
actually,
just
that's War Machine.
A replica?
That's War Machine.
Oh,
is
okay,
it?
fair enough.
And Vivek Wadhwa is here. Washington Post columnist now, apparently. Yeah. We've lost his audio, but he looks great. Vivek, you look gorgeous in stunning HD, even though we don't hear the audio. Oh, wait, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
We
There
can
we
hear.
go,
Whoa,
yes.
we hear you perfectly, and I
Great.
cannot believe how perfect you guys look in that stunning HD. Oh, it's so great. Let's go to the first news story. Read it for us.
All right, well, the highest voted news story on Rank, I post the news stories on Ranker. People vote on which ones they want to hear. Overwhelmingly, people wanted to hear most about Microsoft's new plans for Windows 8. At the D9 conference, Microsoft gave attendees an early look at how it plans to bring Windows to mobile devices. Their Windows 8 plans includes a touch-centric interface for apps using HTML5 and JavaScript, and it'll run on top of the current Windows platform. Microsoft saying its major goal with the project was to create an OS that's equally at home on tablets and desktop computers.
Yes.
Some of the prototype features they showed off, it's a home screen with programmed tiles that you can either click or touch to start. And the idea also appears to be that they want to distribute their programs directly, much like Apple is doing on iOS devices like the iPhone and their iMacs.
Yeah.
So do you think Microsoft is going to be able to sort of out-Apple Apple here? And how competitive do you think this sounds based on what Apple's already shipped?
I got to see this live. I was in the audience at the D conference, but I'm wondering, did any of our two guests see it yet and have any opinion on it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. The last time I was excited about Microsoft was when they released Bob. Remember that?
Yes, absolutely. So, and Bob was very exciting. And I actually think it was Bill Gates' wife, Melinda, who actually was in charge of Bob.
Really?
Got to be tough when you're. I don't know if she was his wife at the time. One of the producers will look it up. But I think the story. I don't know if I don't know what the story was. But anyway, that's got to be comfortable around the office.
Yes.
If you don't know what Bob is, you can look that up. I saw it. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Windows Mobile is gorgeous, just like the Xbox interface is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is you have Microsoft and their money-making machine over here. And then you have the future of Microsoft, which is Apple-like designed products. Mm-hmm. Just let's say design and interface on the level that Apple does it. And what you're just seeing is, piece by piece, Microsoft is relentlessly taking aspects of their business that don't work and making them competitive with Apple and Google's products. Bing, when it was live search, was terrible. Bing now looks like Google or the search engine Apple would make. Windows Mobile went from, what was it originally called? Windows Mobile CE or some garbage?
Zune.
Well, the Zune was a gorgeous looking thing, and now Zune, you can see Windows 8. It's gorgeous. You can swipe along. Actually, guys, this would have been a perfect opportunity with the HD of the TriCast for 850 to actually show the video while I'm talking. Maybe you can pull it up while I talk. But gorgeous interface. It looks like you're just swiping along, and then you click on like apps. So you click the Weather Channel, and all of a sudden it just boom. So it looks like Minority Report.
Right. That's definitely the model.
Basically, the future is, my daughter now is going up to my phone and she starts swiping like this. Mm-hmm. So she picks up my BlackBerry today, and she's 18 months old. Right. She picks up the BlackBerry and she presses the screen, and I'm breaking her heart by telling her you can't do that on the BlackBerry. But the future is kids are going to walk up and they're going to go to a television or any device and they're going to start swiping and they're going to start picking things. And the future is here. I actually think Microsoft's going to be competitive, just like Xbox got competitive. Mm-hmm. Bing is competitive. Do not count Microsoft out. They're an iteration machine. They get it wrong the first 5 times. They get it right 6 through 10.
Yeah, and I mean, the idea, you said Minority Report, the idea of something like this melded with like the Kinect technology.
Of course, that's the next piece.
Pretty exciting.
It's obviously the next piece. So I would not count Microsoft out, but I don't know if I'm a buyer of the stock yet. Tyler?
It surprises me. Like Bing did well, Zune somewhat well, Xbox does well. The things those all have in common is they don't have the word Windows in them. Mm-hmm. It seems surprising that they still hold on to that word when it seems to have more baggage than benefit.
The articles did point out that is right now, it's the working title is Windows 8. So it may not be released as Windows 8. They may come up with Microsoft and then another word for it.
But at this point, you know what it feels like is piano stores in a shopping mall. New TriCast.
We don't get the music?
No. Wait, you're saying it's like piano?
Piano stores in a shopping mall.
It's like piano stores in a shopping mall.
Inside from Thailand.
Oh, new graphic?
Was
I
there?
did not see that.
Hey, show that one more time.
Inside from Thailand.
like a piano store in a mall.
In a shopping mall, yeah.
Which means like
it used to. You remember in the '80s, every shopping mall had a piano store that you'd walk by.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
True.
And those have been going away.
So you're saying, how did they get the pianos in there?
No.
No. Okay. Like it's
No.
a tough fit.
It is a tough fit. Yeah.
Okay. No, but that was my interpretation. Go ahead.
It is kind of interesting that piano store. Why do they put them in shopping malls?
I don't know.
First of all, because nobody ever says, "Let's go to a piano store."
Right.
So it's like they're putting it in your way.
They put
so
it
you
in
have
your
no
way.
choice
It's
but
an
to-
impulse kind of purchase,
Got it.
right? Mm-hmm. And
Is a piano's not an impulse.
they
Well,
are
no, but-
impulse. Ask piano salesmen. They are
people,
impulse
I
purchases.
can see people coming in and saying like, hey, we've always wanted to have a
know what we
piano.
should do?
We have a kid.
Let's purchase
Buy a
and then learn how to play a piano.
No, I agree with them. Anyway, I get your point.
I think Microsoft. Well, here's the other point: is Microsoft now needs to. The Apple is retail.
Right.
Microsoft now knows and it's part of their key of their success and the customer service element of that and everything, right?
Yeah.
As Microsoft can make the best products ever, if they don't get that Microsoft Store thing figured out,
Yes.
so that people feel comfortable going in and getting their stuff fixed
Yes.
and all that.
Yeah, that's why they're dictating what the
transformed
hardware
it.
is going to be and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
They're going to tighten up the whole thing to compete with Apple.
They need to figure out that retail component that Apple's figured out.
Got it. Okay. I have no idea what that's doing with the inside.
Inside from Thailand.
It does
Although
look
I will miss the photo of us on the top of the Bay Bridge, looking like we're.
You should put it up on the website so people can find it if they're looking for it.
Let's do the second market story. I know it's number 3, but I think this is an important one.
Sure. So this was originally reported in the Washington Post by our guest, Vivek Wadhwa. The secondary markets bubble, already well into the hundreds of billions of dollars, represents, he believes, a danger to America's leadership position in the technology sector and presents a serious threat to the culture of innovation in Silicon Valley. Secondary markets have the potential to generate fraud on an Enron-like scale. As well, people who aren't knowledgeable about the market are influencing prices, and because the SEC does not regulate these markets, minimal disclosure requirements are mandated from participating companies.
Okay, wow. I think I disagree with this, but Vivek, what are your thoughts? I mean, this is a pretty big statement to call it a potential Enron-like fraud. Why do you say that?
Jason, because look who we're selling stock to. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars of stock being sold to moms and pops. All you have to do is have $1 million worth of net value, and you can go to one of these websites and start buying stuff.
Right.
No disclosure necessary. Now, the current companies are probably okay, but who knows? We've seen what happens to companies when money is at stake. There's always corruption. So what happens when you start having, like Groupon right now? I mean, I tell you, it seems like the biggest scam there is to me. The way they're going public, it's pump and dump, right? What happens when you start doing that on the public, on the private markets? On a large scale, you have all these startups going, inflating their prices, inflating their numbers. They believe it's true, but they're not liable. If you did that in the public markets, you'd go to jail. Here, you just sort of apologize, and maybe you get sued, maybe you don't get sued.
Cyan, what do you think? I mean, you are an angel investor. I'm sure some of the companies you've invested in are on Second Market. Perhaps you've even sold shares on Second Market. Do you participate in Second Market? And what are your thoughts? Do you agree with what Vivek is saying, that this is potentially extremely damaging and could be a huge fraud?
I don't know about the fraud angle. I definitely have sold a lot of shares on Second Market. And I do think it's a great place for employees to be able to get liquidity and take cash off the table in situations, for example, like Facebook, where that companies may not go public anytime soon. And so I actually see it as a great value to employees and to companies. But I don't know about the fraud that you're speaking of, Vivek, but maybe you can go into that in more detail.
Well, I mean, look at the opportunities. What disclosure have you done for the stock that you're selling? How do you know what's worth? It's basically made up numbers without any auditing. I mean, normally when you buy stock on the public markets, the companies you buy it from have to disclose their quarterly financials. They have auditors that go in there and check on everything they're doing. Their legal contracts and there's enforcement.
Isn't the idea that these buyers are sophisticated and they are qualified buyers, as we say in the business? They have over $1 million in net worth. If I've got $1 million in net worth and I want to put $100,000 of it on a poker table, why can't I put $100,000 of it into Facebook or Groupon?
Because there are millions of Americans who have $1 million in net worth. These days, your house is typically, the average house in Palo Alto is worth $2 or $3 million. I mean, the fact is that a lot of people qualify, and they're just getting in because of the excitement and the hype. They're uninformed investors. And the opportunity over here is for companies to start really ripping people off. I'm worried that one, bad apple over here could do damage to the whole of Silicon Valley. And it just brings down the entire house of cards if we do that.
Right. So, I mean, I understand that part. There is a risk here that somebody could put something into the system that maybe, I mean, and listen, companies will fail. I mean, these are closer to startup companies than they are public companies, I think, in most cases, right, Cyan?
Yes.
And so I think, do people understand when they buy these shares that they're buying something more like a private, angel invested in company than a public company that will last some period of time? I mean, do you feel, Tyler, people understand the risks?
I would think so. They don't exactly make it super easy to get in it.
No, it's not easy to get in. You have to now fill out forms. You have to agree, to the stuff, and you have to talk to somebody on the phone.
But I mean, I think the point is not only that some of the people who might be making these deals are not quite sophisticated enough to know what they're getting into, but that it's a shadow market. I mean, there's a reason the SEC and all these regulations exist on the public market.
Well, and what is that reason? Do you know? Do you know the origins of it?
The origins of the SEC?
Yeah. Vivek, explain the origins of the SEC qualified investor.
To prevent fraud, basically. The qualified investor, $1 million, 10, 15 years ago was a lot of money. Most people didn't have that kind of money. Today, $1 million isn't that much anymore. And the SEC regulates transactions between companies and the public so that you can't have fraud. So you have to do complete disclosure on what your numbers are and what the risk factors are. You have to do lots and lots of disclosures when you go through the public offerings. That's why it's so painful. And you slip up, but then you go to jail. With the secondary market, it's a wild, wild west.
Well, I mean, you can still get sued for fraud, though, correct? I mean, fraud occurs in private companies, and there are lawsuits all the time. What if your transactions were limited to a percentage of your net worth? Cyan, do you think that these investors on Second Market that you've sold shares to, or maybe you've bought things, do you think they need protection, or do you think they're sophisticated?
I so far have witnessed that everybody that has bought or sold on Second Market has been sophisticated. I haven't seen this other side that Vivek's talking about. But, that's just my exposure to the people doing it. And, I understand that I'm taking a great risk when I buy, shares on Second Market. Those companies could definitely tank and go out of business.
Yeah, there's enough implied risk from the get-go that these companies could be gone tomorrow.
Also, it's collusion.
Angel investing is...
Wait, what do you mean collusion?
It's things that the companies could be doing that they wouldn't be able to get away with.
I mean, public companies can do that too.
Well,
you could get a partnership.
It's illegal.
We could listen. If I'm a non-rich person, let's say, and you and I wanted to go in business starting a lawn mowing business, you could commit fraud too. I mean, does that mean that people who are middle income, the way I feel about it is anybody should be able to buy these shares. You're American, you're free, you should be able to buy whatever. If you want to, you're free to go to Vegas to put, $1,000 on black or red. Why can't you be free to put $1,000 on This Week In or Mahalo or
I'm not
Launch?
saying it should be rendered illegal.
And if you have that $1,000 to put into to Launch or This Week In, hey man, I'll consider taking it.
I don't think it should be illegal. I agree with you.
Right.
Legally, I think this should be allowed. I think it's permissible. But I do see what he's saying, that there is a lot of danger here because it's totally unregulated. It's completely these companies could say their company is worth whatever. They have a definite personal interest in making the valuation higher.
Yeah.
And
Vivek, are you implying that people are not smart enough to do what they want with their own hard-earned cash? Are you implying that there should be a nanny state?
Yeah, look at the way people are hyping up the values of companies like LinkedIn and now it's going to be Groupon. I mean, LinkedIn is a great company. Don't doubt that. But it was at $125 a share. A lot of people have lost 30 or 40% of their investment already. Okay,
right. Now
that's regulated. Imagine what happens when you're not regulated. God knows what lies beneath the surface of a lot of these companies that are listed on second markets. There's too much potential for fraud over here, for corruption, for things going wrong. And again, the problem is that you have one or two bad apples, and the entire Silicon Valley begins to look bad. We don't need that.
Okay. This is going to be one of those hot potato issues. I'm going to write something up on this because I have to think about it a little more. To recap, I don't think there's anything bad going on in SecondMarket.com, the company, right now. I don't think Vivek thinks that. But I do agree that if the general public does start investing in these, and the SEC is working towards letting more people invest, because it is virtuous that more people be able to invest in startups because that will increase job growth. Sure. And other countries can do it. There's no reason Kickstarter should not be able to give equity. But if Kickstarter gives equity, well, people are donating to these projects on Kickstarter without equity. Why shouldn't they get some equity? Then we get something more than nothing. But really, the percentage of net worth, I think, is the key issue. So what I think is, if you're going to invest in these second markets, you should be allowed to put no more than 20% of your disclosed net worth to them in any, at any one time or something. You could basically come up with some throttling mechanism that would be a compromise between the poor people, the middle class people can't get involved in this. If you were a poor person or a middle class person who put $10,000 into LinkedIn 3 years ago, you would have made probably 50x. If you put $10,000 into Facebook, it was selling at for $2 billion on second market. It's now worth $80 billion. You got 40x. Think about how transformative, Lon, it would have been if you put in $10,000 and you got 40x.
Yeah, but should we be encouraging people who are strapped for cash to start putting their money
Well,
into tech stocks?
we encourage them to go to Vegas. That's all I'm saying. I think we're hypocritical in society. Let's move on to the next news story.
Fair enough. So Google launches a Groupon competitor. That was our next most popular story.
Yes.
Portland, Oregon has become the first city to beta test Google's latest product. It's called Google Offers. It's a nearly identical system to the one popularized by Groupon and Living Social. For example, offering a coupon that you could purchase to get $10 worth of Floyd's coffee for $3. Offers will integrate with Google Wallet, the company's new mobile payment system, to allow for coupon redemption entirely through your phone. The program is expected to roll out to New York and San Francisco later this summer. So first it was Facebook deals that was going to unseat Groupon. Now it's Google trying for the same thing. In another story that was downvoted, but we may talk about later, Amazon is also throwing their hat into the ring here. How can Groupon stay competitive in the long run? And why do you think some of these other companies are having success or not having success in sort of taking them down?
Cyan, are you an investor in Living Social or Groupon?
Facebook.
Facebook. So what are your thoughts on Google launching essentially a competitor? I mean, they're not doing group sales, to be clear. It's not a daily deal site.
Right.
It's a persistent coupon site. I saw the wallet. It's very much like NFC, near field communication. Mm-hmm. You can take your wallet out and smack it and get and pay, or you can be walking by a store, put it on the glass, and see what coupon they're offering at that hour of the day.
Right.
Very innovative. A little bit different than what Groupon is doing. What were your thoughts on this, Cyan?
I'm still skeptical about the whole deal space, and mostly just because I'm not sure what the value is long-term to businesses. If you're getting new customers, then great, but it seems like existing customers are the ones that are coming in and cashing in these deals. So I think it's a bit of a trend. However, I do think, this isn't just because I'm an investor in Facebook, but I think that Facebook has got it right because they have the social graph. And I get exposed to deals all the time just because I look in my news feed and I see really interesting deals that my friends have bought or people that I know have bought, which makes it a lot more interesting to me because I can go do that thing with them. But I don't understand how that's going to work on Google or Amazon necessarily. I mean, people go to Amazon to look for deals, but I don't think of Google as the place where I go shopping.
Well, what if you did a search on Google where you're in your Gmail and it just was showing you in that little Gmail strip a deal that's within 25 miles of you, since they know by your IP address or by your search? What if you came to the Google homepage and it had the top 5 deals within 25 miles of you? Would it be compelling then?
That would be pretty compelling. If they do that, that would be definitely compelling.
Chances of Google doing that and massacring their homepage, you think they would ever do it?
I don't think so.
Exactly, I agree. Vivek, your thoughts?
I think the sign is right that Facebook is a real threat over here, because when your friends start recommending deals, when it knows who you are and what how you like shopping and so on, Facebook can easily give you much better deals with the necessary recommendations. Now, Google also has a lot of data, a lot of information, and Google has size. So these are real competitors to Groupon.
I agree. Tyler, you're a big fan of the local space, obviously, as the now CEO of Squeal. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Google entering the local space in earnest?
Well, Google is going to have to make it super, super, super simple for, no offense, these bonehead retailers to do real-time deals. That's a very big hurdle to get
them to do any deal.
To get them to even they don't know what a CC field is on an email. They don't know what reply all is. So getting somebody who can barely function on email to do a real-time deal at their hardware store or their cupcake store.
Which is why Groupon has 8,000 employees.
Right. So
because they have to, the hand-holding it takes is amazing for local business.
It's not in Google's DNA to do that hand-holding conventionally.
Right.
However, they are doing it. I've been called twice for my fake business that I have on Google Local to handhold me to get me to do a real-time deal.
Is it an American calling you, or is it somebody in the Philippines or
No,
India calling?
He was in Dallas.
Reading a script?
He was in Dallas. They were 3 months apart, and it was the same guy.
Same guy.
Same guy twice.
So there is a field office in Dallas with a bunch of people in a call center for Google.
Or a bunch of people named Carl. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Genius.
But they're doing the hand holding.
Yeah.
And then the second part is, I don't think it's going to be you searching on Google and getting the deal on your laptop.
Yeah.
What really matters is who's going to have the better mobile experience for pushing, delivering the real-time deals.
And Groupon has a proposed one where you take it out and you say, it gives you a list of behaviors. I want to eat something new.
Yeah.
I want to eat something like X. I want to be excited. I want to be entertained.
Right. In 3 cities, yes.
Yes, in 3 cities.
And Google's right there as well. And they're both handling the transaction piece, really.
Let me ask a question, because this brings up the fact that Google tried to purchase Groupon for a couple of $1 billion. Google tried to buy Yelp. Both parties said no. Both parties now are facing the wrath of Google with very viable coexisters / competitors. Cyan, Vivek, if you don't sell your company to Google, does that mean they will crush it in the next 6 months or 12 months? And is that a new Google, or has Google always been that way?
I think Google is becoming the new Microsoft, frankly, that we feared Microsoft for the longest time. Now Microsoft is not a concern. Google is a concern. So even though they may say they don't want to do evil, in many, many areas, they're becoming more powerful than Big Brother was. And they have the power to crush companies and industries the way they're going. So we got something to worry about here.
Cyan, what do you think? I mean, you invest in a lot of young startups. When you see Google now seeming very expansive, like they want to go faster, they try to buy something. If they don't get it, they immediately, still go into that area. It's not like the old days where they tried to buy, or they tried to buy Twitter, they didn't get it, they bought Jaiku. This is like, it feels to me like something different. They try to buy something big. If they don't get it, they build it very quickly at scale. Am I reading into it, or do you think there's something going on here?
How many things have they built very quickly at scale that have done well, I guess is my question. So I think that, Google, to me, is missing the boat on its core competency, which is search. I still think that Google hasn't even solved that problem. And so, I do agree with Vivek that they definitely are committing evil in many ways. And even though they say they don't do evil, we've seen several examples where they have. But I would really like to see Google go back to its roots and actually fix search, because I think that's where people are going to eat their lunch.
And the problem with search is that they make so much money by spamming the web, by paying people to pollute the web, that they're not going to change their business model. And what's going to happen over the next 5 years is someone's going to come along with new technologies, like the tablet technologies. You're going to change the paradigm of search. Microsoft, with its new user interface, may well have done that. And it's going to change the way you search, the way you perceive information. And Google will suddenly wake up one day and realize that it's lost out on its major market. So now it's going to start figuring this out over the next 2 or 3 years. It'll get hungrier and hungrier because it has to keep growing at the same rates. Therefore, it has to enter new markets. And therefore, it'll start cannibalizing other industries because it has to. That's how it has to survive. Search, the way we've known it, is not the future. There are going to be new paradigms that have to be mastered.
Great thoughts.
It's dead on that, actually.
Awesome. I think we're all in agreement on that. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to talk about Amazon launching their Groupon competitor, Twitter getting search and photo updates, the hackers in China attacking the U.S. officials' Gmail accounts, which is extraordinary. And what else do we have coming out?
Oh, we got the Flip creator is starting a very intriguing new
business. I ate the grilled cheese. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about the grilled cheese we ate and Airbnb possibly spamming Craigslist. But before we get to those very important news stories, I would like to talk about a product that I love, a product that I use every day. It is called Squarespace. Squarespace, oh my God, delicious, perfect. I use it for the launch conference. I'm moving some other blogs to it. It's perfect. It's easy to use. 24-hour support. You can create a beautiful, talking about local businesses. I mean, I had this idea. Just if you want to make $250,000 a year, go into local businesses, sit down and have a cup of coffee, and build a site on Squarespace for them. Walk over and show them their new site on Squarespace, half an hour with one of the fancy templates at Squarespace, and tell them you'll sell them the website for $500. I guarantee you do that 4 times a day, you'll get 2 people to pay you. You'll make $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day is $250,000 a year. Boom. Squarespace makes it easy to make beautiful websites super quick. If you want to give Squarespace a try, go to squarespace.com/twist, and you'll get a 14-day free trial. If you email us a receipt from any Squarespace product, any amount of money, we're going to send you one of these beautiful, beautiful This Week in Startups bags. Show them the bag, gentlemen. Show them the bag, gentlemen. Pass me a bag, gentlemen. I'll tell you something. It doesn't look like this beautiful man bag that Tyler doesn't have. It's not a gorgeous leathery man bag like this, because that would cost like $300. However, it does look like this dirty old bag that we had in the corner filled with dust. I'll just wipe that off, don't worry. This beautiful man bag, Fifth Beacon Startups, with the beautiful engraved lettering. You get one of these for free. This costs like 20 beans, and we'll ship it to you. All for, I mean, basically, I think Squarespace is like $10 a month. It's super cheap. So you send us your receipt, we send you one of those.
It starts
Boom.
at 12.
It starts at 12, yeah. Anyway,
bag. Who
can't
doesn't
say
want one of
enough
those?
great things about Squarespace. Great product, great entrepreneur. We only allow partners and sponsors on this program where I use the product, or Tyler uses the product, or Lon uses the product. We need to get your list of products you love. Give us a couple products you love. Top 3 products right now.
Well, we talk about MailChimp all the time. I use that.
Okay, so you're MailChimp, but
all
they're
the
not.
time.
Yeah. You're not on Squarespace yet?
I'm not. I don't have a Squarespace.
What do you like, on a
blog.
WordPress blog or some old crap?
Posterous, actually.
You're on Posterous? Yeah, it's okay. It's not as good as Squarespace.
Right. No, I definitely could.
What other
could
product?
stand
What's your
out
other favorite product right
I
now?
love Chartbeat.
Oh, you're big on Chartbeat would be a great sponsor.
You introduced me to Chartbeat.
You are
using
addicted. All right, so
Chartbeat. Everybody on Ranker now spends their entire day
What's
on
another
Chartbeat.
sponsor?
Evernote. I love
Evernote. Okay, so Evernote is a sponsor. Okay, I'll approve both of those.
Okay.
Approve for sponsorship.
Evernote I use
Give me one more.
literally
What's your other
every-
favorite,
every
like,
day.
business tool, productivity, SEO tool, anything?
SEO Moz, obviously.
SEO Moz is approved sponsor. I like SEO Moz too.
SEO Moz is terrific.
All
I
right,
use it all the time.
tell Mo 3000, Chartbeat, Evernote, SEO Moz are on the approved partner list. Jason, thank you for those leads. It means a lot when you do the leads live on the show because it shows intent, that you intend to say nice things about them. It is a brilliant. Did I tell you that you are a brilliant salesperson in your own right?
Very warm human being, Mo. I don't know where.
I
he
love
got
Mo,
this
but he just
reputation.
follows me around like a robot asking questions. All right. Boom, we're back from commercial break. Just like that. And read us this next story.
Do you want to talk about this Airbnb thing? Because it's a breaking story.
Yeah, let's hear the
That's
breaking
a good
story.
one.
All right, so I'm on VentureBeat right now if anybody else wants to look it up. Social bed and breakfast startup Airbnb. They've enjoyed a fair amount of buzzworthy press recently, but the company has admitted that before gaining the kind of attention that they now have, they hired contractors who used unsavory tactics to get people posting property listings on Craigslist to create a listing on Airbnb as well. Entrepreneur Dave Gooden wrote a blog post about these tactics, which he determined to be automated spam accounts used to harvest email addresses. He's blaming the action on a rogue sales team that were contracted to acquire listings through person-to-person sales. After investigating the tactics used by the sales team, they found no evidence of an automated or data harvesting product, but concluded their efforts were largely ineffective. The company also stated it does not condone the practice of farming Craigslist.
Listen.
How many other companies do you think do this?
Of course people do. I mean, post an ad on Craigslist, you get 3 people who are recruiters who email you. That's part of the price of having an open platform like Craigslist. I actually don't think it's that big of a deal. If you have a new service, if I had a new service and I told you about it, you're walking down the street and you took a moment to consider it, no big deal. If I see that you're in the market for a certain product or service and I email you through Craigslist, I don't think that's that big of a deal.
The difference was that they weren't disclosing they were from Airbnb.
Oh, they were doing it like, you should try this out.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's like a personal recommendation.
Oh, well, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's like those buzz companies that will go on the street and be like, "Would you take our picture with our camera?"
Right.
And then they take your picture and they go, "Yeah, we love this new Sony." There was this company called like Buzz something, Buzz Agents.
Yeah.
They wrote about them in the New York Times. I hate that kind of crap. No, just disclose. So it's not like they were looking for leads and it was a salesperson.
No,
it was
like fake testimonials. Like,
that's kind of BS.
You should really sign up.
Well, you know what? Whatever. I mean, listen. Everybody does a little bit of this stuff on the fringes. There's black, there's white, there's gray. This is a gray area. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it. But it feels like astroturfing. Cyan, what about these techniques when you're early in a company's history? Fake it till you make it. Hustle your way into a market. What are your thoughts? What's your advice?
I've seen dozens of companies do this with Craigslist, and like you said, it's the problems of an open platform like that with anonymity, and I wouldn't do it, and like you said, disclosure is probably key in the situation, but I don't think it's that terrible of a thing.
Jason, I don't condone it. I mean, my view is that once you start doing sleazy things, it becomes part of the culture of your company, and it's all downhill. Once you start validating ethics, there's no going back from that, because what happens is that your employees start seeing what's acceptable business practice. They think it's okay to do sleazy things like that, and it sort of permeates through the company. You can't reset your company's culture. Either you do things by the book and you're ethical and you build business the right way, or you don't. I mean, it's binary.
Interesting. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I kind of like it.
You like the fact that it's hustle and that you're getting to a targeted market, but What about the sort of non-disclosure that I'm, I work for the company?
I don't see why you wouldn't just disclose it.
Right.
Well,
that's
I actually would disclose it. I'd say, hey, we're a new company called Airbnb, and if you put your thing on ours, you have here's why you might want to do that.
It's unnecessary. This is the thing.
Right.
That's what I tell people about cheating. People cheat all the time. I mean, you read the New York Times. People are cheating all the time, and you don't need to. And people do evil things, even beyond cheating. I mean, people do outrageously evil things, violent things, in a system, in a world where you don't need to. You don't need to go rob a bank in the United States to get money. There's enough legal ways to do it. The amount of effort it takes to rob a bank is much greater than starting a startup company. Much, much greater.
Well, in the way they do it in the movies, most people who rob banks,
whatever.
in real life, they just
They're on crystal meth, and
right.
They're not thinking straight. But my point is, you see these guys on TV, doing the perp walk of, shame.
Right.
Whether they're, I don't know, Enron guys, whatever.
Bernie
Madoff. If you put $1 million into the stock market 30 years ago, it would be worth X amount now. If Bernie Madoff had just done that, he would have had greater returns than the returns that he did by cheating.
You know what else? Though?
Well, he'd have more now. He was very successful when he was cheating, but he wouldn't be in jail.
That's my
he wouldn't
point,
be in jail
though.
Today.
What level of success do you? I mean, I think that these people are twisted who cheat.
Well, he's pretty bad at that.
Well, I think that's what I think. When you see people cheating, I can only think that the person's twisted because it's so easy to win.
I think it's interesting that it would be interesting to actually see side by side if they had gone a much more honest route and said,
of course, it would work better.
These people, would it work better? I don't know.
It's like the SEO techniques. We've done a lot of SEO techniques. You were here in the early days of Mahalo. We did some stuff that maybe I wouldn't say was black, but we tried different things to see if we could get stuff going.
There was some stuff we did that was sort of on the edge.
Yeah, I mean, but nothing
in the gray.
Yeah, I don't think anything I wouldn't talk about.
No, we never cheated.
We never cheated or anything. We go to Google Trends and try to make pages based on the Google Trends.
The real question is, did they know this was going on or not?
Of course they did. But the thing is, like Facebook doing outrageous things like hiring a PR firm to then go scuttle another firm. That's the weird stuff. Cyan, you're an investor in Facebook. You obviously can speak for them. Well, when you saw that story, I mean, doesn't that make you cringe a little bit? Like, oh God, why is Facebook doing this? They're so extraordinary.
Yeah, that made me cringe a little bit. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a mistake. Why cheat, people? Why cheat? Next story.
Let's talk about iCloud. Apple will introduce its iCloud service at the WWDC 2011 next week. It will include a streaming music service allowing users to play their music on any web browser or iOS device. According to the LA Times, this will include the company's plans to charge $25 per year for the service, with a free trial for anyone who uses iTunes to purchase music. There's also a possibility the company will sell ads to be served in the cloud. So far, all 4 of the big 4 record labels have come on board with the plan. Universal Music Group was added yesterday. The agreements allegedly call for Apple to share 30% of all music revenue with the labels, and then an additional 12% with the publishers who own the songwriting rights. This leaves 58% of the revenue for Apple themselves. So,
for the subscription Spotify-like service.
Right. So what do you think? I mean, who's going to win the battle of the cloud, or who seems to be out into an early lead?
Vivek?
I think Apple users will continue with Apple. I mean, I'm an Apple addict. I use everything Apple that comes out, I got to buy it. So most likely I'm going to buy that as well as everything else.
Cyan, do you use Spotify at all?
I do use Spotify. I like it, but I'm also a avid Apple user as well. So I probably would love to compare and contrast them.
Yeah, I have inside information. It turns out the reason Spotify hasn't been in the United States and the reason why some other services have not debuted, Apple, Steve Jobs specifically, this is what I was told at the D conference by somebody who I would say very well respected, actually more important than me, certainly, said to me, Apple froze all the other competitors and told the music industry, you do not release anything before we get a chance to release. So everything has been held up. Apple froze the industry.
For this.
Yeah, Steve Jobs threatened them. That's what the person said to me. In addition to that, I think that this is not the only announcement. I think there's another announcement which will be that they are going to launch. It may not happen this time, but it will be coming within this year. They are going to launch a Mozy backup more like Dropbox. They're going to have a Dropbox-like system that'll be a little bit more open than the mobile me.
Right.
So a little bit more automated Dropbox-like thing.
I could definitely see that.
And I heard that they tried to buy Dropbox.
Oh, interesting.
2 exclusives for whoever wants to write them up.
Wow.
Did you hear that? Are you in Dropbox, Cyan?
No.
Did you hear that they were trying to get bought by Apple?
I have not heard that, no.
Yeah.
But, this isn't the first time I've heard of Apple being anti-competitive like this. So
I love Cyan. She's so honest. She's like, yeah, Facebook, that was a mistake. Apple, yeah, they're a little anti-competitive. It's like, but she smiles when she says it.
Makes it okay.
It makes it okay.
That takes the sting out.
Tyler, are you eagerly? You're an Apple fanboy. Were you eagerly awaiting this product?
Yeah, and the making mobile, they have to though, because Android's kind of forcing them. You know, the timing is like, it's not like an option. Like they can sit around and not make a Dropbox like thing on Apple.
Yeah, exactly. And why was the G Drive product iced? I mean, that makes no sense. They iced that product. They had it ready 2 years ago. Next story.
We'll talk about the hackers. Google has revealed that anonymous hackers, possibly from central China, tried to hack into the Gmail accounts of hundreds of users, including senior U.S. government officials, Chinese activists, and journalists. The hackers allegedly tried to crack and monitor email accounts by stealing passwords. Google claims to have detected and disrupted the campaign. So these kinds of stories come out once every couple weeks, once every month. Do you feel like your Gmail account is secure?
Vivek, what are your thoughts?
You know, I'm writing a Washington Post article about it later today or this weekend on the implications for security here. What's happened is that the proliferation of data has happened faster than anyone could imagine. That it's like a child growing up too fast. This kid hasn't been to school, doesn't know the basics. Right now, we're putting everything. We keep talking about the cloud. We're putting our life's worth of information on the cloud, and guess what? It can be hacked quite easily. You know, via Wi-Fi networks, over 50 of other techniques. So the question is, what's the balance between innovation and security? We need to come to grips with this very fast because the Chinese probably have been, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Chinese are probably hacking into almost every major corporation, getting their technologies and other secrets as well. And as are the Americans. We're hacking into different countries and their systems and so on. It's happening on a very large scale. There's a lot for us to worry about here.
Vivek, question. We saw it also. Whoop, we lost the microphone.
Careful.
Microphone down. Vivek, we saw also last week, we're willing to do physical attacks to cyber attacks. So a cyber attack will be retaliated with a physical attack. I think the quote was, we may drop a missile down a smokestack. Do you think that announcement by, I think it was the State Department 2 weeks ago, and this announcement are coordinated, and we're sending a message to China that if they don't cut it out and they do something even with the Raytheon attack, we may actually start dropping bombs on China?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was directed at China. Knowing the way these things work, there was probably some other coded message to some other government that's trying to do it. It could be Korea, for example, or Burma. I mean, right now you can have hackers anywhere breaking into networks. And I think that what they were worried about was sabotaging national security facilities or doing physical damage where human lives are hurt. The Chinese right now are just stealing all the information they can to get smarter and to be able to control dissent in their own country. This, I think, is more devious, more diabolical, and that's the message that the government was trying to send to other governments, saying, you better watch it, otherwise we're going to come and get you.
Cyan, your thoughts? You feel safe using Gmail? You feel safe in cloud computing?
no, not at all. I think anything involving a password is not secure. And that's the nature of doing things online. But I do question, why are high-ranking government officials using Gmail in the first place?
That said that in the chat room as well. Yeah,
it's kind of odd to me. It's like when you think about all of the devices I've seen that the government invests in, like these secure BlackBerries and all of these things. What are they doing sharing government information on Gmail in the first place?
Well, I mean, based on Anthony Weiner's behavior, clearly it's to send pictures of their genitals. I mean, you can't do that through a government account. I mean,
you could. It'd just be
well, you could. It just
posterity.
Probably that would be.
I know several government leaders or ministers or etc. Most of them have Gmail accounts and they communicate via their private Gmail accounts because they don't trust their own governments. They don't trust their own services or their own governments. Even in the United States, many government officials have Gmail accounts, despite the fact they're not supposed to, because they don't want everything being logged. I mean, anything you do on a government account gets logged. It's public information. It can be retrieved by anyone forever. So therefore, they want to send private communications through their Gmail or their Yahoo accounts. So it's an issue.
We now see under personal settings in Gmail, two-factor authentication. I believe, Tyler, you told me about this. Have you turned it on? Under personal settings, you can go in here, as you see on my screen. And it's great with the beautiful TriCaster 850. I can actually not only show you my desktop, watch this. I can also have Tyler's camera fly in from the side. I can if Matt figures out how to do it, because there's a lot of buttons on the TriCaster. But I can have this close-up going on here, and then I can start adding video windows to it. So there's me, and I am flying around the screen. Oh, you know what I feel like? I feel like the guy. What was the movie? Superman 2. I'm Zod.
Yeah, right here. You can see right here in the forbidden zone.
You fear Zod!
That is really neat.
Give me
neat.
Now you can put our guest in that, right? All right, so put our guest in this.
That's what it was.
This,
That's what it was designed
Wait,
for. I'm
yeah,
sure.
there's Vivek. Vivek, you're.
That is neat. I'm impressed.
Look at me.
What
Oh, Vivek, wait, bring him back. Come back, Vivek.
Hey.
Okay, stop doing that to Vivek. That's not right. Stop flying the guest around the street. Give me. That's great. So has anybody put this two-step verification on? That was the question.
I have not, no.
Have you put it on?
I have, yeah, I love it.
And how does it work exactly, the two-step?
There's a mobile app that, so when you try and log in, it's going to ask, kind of like your bank fob that you keep on your keys, where you have a unique code that gets generated when you want to log in.
I love it. So why don't they make that, why don't they force people to do that?
It's a little inconvenient.
I'm trying to find it in, I don't see it in, for Google Apps. I wonder if they have it for Google Apps. You know? Like a Google Apps account?
I checked, there's an option there. There is an option there.
Yeah, they put it up a few months ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Two-step verification.
You know, it's inconvenient, but I think it's a heck of a lot better than biometrics, which is unfortunately, I think, where we're going.
It's pretty cool that they are doing this. I think they got to force people to do this from now on. It's getting it's all too dangerous now. It's got to become standard.
Jason, here's the problem: that no matter what security you have there, you're on a Wi-Fi network. The Wi-Fi network is easily hackable, and you have all of your years worth of emails, your correspondence with your girlfriends, and God knows who else on your Gmail account. Once they get that password, they can do it. They can download all your email, and you're screwed forever. So this is why I don't store my emails on the cloud, because many of my messages are sensitive. So therefore, I don't store them on the cloud. That's the only solution.
Wait, you just remove them from Gmail is what you're saying?
This is why I'm stuck with Microsoft Outlook. I store stuff in my PSD files because I don't want it sitting around on the cloud somewhere. Because
is this going to become a trend, Cyan? Do you think you're going to see people say, you know what, the cloud's not worth the risk, I'm going to start going back to old school? Is there an opportunity? If I was pitching you on a startup and I said, what if, Cyan, there was a box you put at home and you managed your own mail router, and if that box gets stolen, you lose your mail, but nobody can get into it, and you host it in your house behind your firewall?
I don't think consumers are that savvy, and I don't think consumers will move that route. But I do think businesses and people who actually rely on their information being secure and private will actually move more in that route. I think you're going to see more and more businesses move off of using Google Apps and hosting their own mail. I'm seeing more of that already.
And is it because of security?
Yeah, the problem is you have laptops and Wi-Fi are where the biggest risks are, because I travel all the time. And my password can be stolen, anywhere I go, basically.
Well, what if you use a MiFi? Like, I won't go on to public Wi-Fi networks anymore. I'll only use Wi-Fi or a secure Wi-Fi network.
I don't have that luxury most of the time. When you're on a flight or when you're at the airport, you just use what's there. I don't have that luxury.
Oh man, the luxury costs $40 a month, Vivek. Man, you got that Washington Post salary now. You got to get that to throw in a MiFi now that you're up in Washington Post land. Let's do lightning round for the next 5 stories.
All right.
Lightning round, everybody knows. One person comments. If anybody feels massively compelled, they will give a second comment.
Do we want to do the Groupon IPO, or did we sort of cover that already?
No, we didn't. Go for the Groupon IPO.
So, social buying site Groupon filed on Thursday to go public. Alleged plans to raise $750 million. The site, founded in 2008, has thus far hit $713 million in revenue. According to the filing, the company hit $644 million in revenue in just the first quarter of 2011 alone, and it has 83 million subscribers across 43 countries. It's going to trade under the ticker GRPN. There's so much to talk about here, but we're in the lightning round, so I'll just keep it going. So, how much more investment do you think Groupon really needs? How do you think they're spending the $1 billion that was just recently invested in them? And what do you think are the long-term prospects for Groupon stock?
Cyan.
I really have nothing to comment on Groupon. I'm not super excited about this IPO, and I think it's not a great move.
Vivek.
I think it's a penny stock in the happening, that we're going to have mom and pop, grandma and grandpa lose their savings on this one, and it's going to go bust.
Wow. That's strong talk.
Yeah.
Tyler, lightning round.
It depends on what's it going to price out at?
Let me see.
Do we
They're
know?
raising $750 million.
I've got it in here somewhere.
People are really attacking this IPO.
The 2010 fundraising round was valued at roughly 1.4 billion. Let me see.
No, they may have raised 1.4 billion.
We don't
I think
know.
the market cap's going to be 10 billion here.
No.
Yeah.
$451 million of the $800 million they raised went to the founders. It didn't go to the company. So
Yeah, so people are liquidating. So if people are liquidating pre-IPO,
that's what smells about it.
that's a little bit of a tell.
Right.
A little bit of a tell. But listen, it's right up. I love the company. I love the business model. I love how quickly they scaled around the world. But the numbers, I think the numbers can't help but be scary when you've grown this fast. So it's almost like they're a little bit out of control in terms of growth. 8,000 employees from 0 4 years ago. 3 years ago. It's just an extraordinary growth story. So
They've got 800 some writers alone. I was surprised.
when you have that kind of growth, it means you have to burn a ton of capital. It reminds me of the .com days, with the difference of there's a ton of revenue in this company.
Yeah.
But are there going to be a ton of sustainable profits is the question, and that's going to be the risk reward here. Will they be able to sustain the margins, and will the company stay profitable?
I don't feel like they have to sustain the margins.
All right. Well, if the margins went down by half, can they sustain? Can they sustain losing margin at in a major way because of competitors? And is there a risk factor of burnout on the local merchants? Those are the questions that I want to see answered in the next year.
If they can, it's really just between them and Google. If Google doesn't pull
No, Living
off,
Social's catching on.
Well, I'm sorry, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And
Next
Facebook,
story.
don't forget them.
Yeah. Next story.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook too.
Yeah. So we'll stay on the IPO. Music streaming service Pandora has updated its S1 filing, indicating it plans to price its stock at the $7 to $9 per share range. Currently, Pandora is claiming 94 million registered users, and they recently released revenue numbers indicating a significant increase in sales. They're aiming to raise as much as 141.6 million in the offering for just over 5 million shares of the common stock. That would put their valuation at just over $1 billion.
That to me seems like a buy.
So you think Apple, Google, and Amazon's cloud players are going to be a threat to Pandora?
No,
or it's going to keep
Pandora will
charging
be
for it?
bought by Netflix. Anyway, you guys, anybody have a comment?
No, I mean, more reasonable.
Yeah, much more reasonable. It's the first I've heard of it, but that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting, and I think it's no brainer that Netflix would buy this company because they're in the same business, selling subscriptions to a digital library. They could sell one subscription for both.
And interestingly, both of those companies actually they're doing the same innovation in terms of recommendation engines.
Absolutely.
They're both building
it's
almost an identical recommendation.
If Amazon was smart and could afford it, they would go buy both these companies. They cannot afford to buy Netflix. Netflix should buy Pandora. Pandora shareholders would do better to be part of Netflix instead of going on their own. But sometimes people go public in order to force an acquisition because they go, oh, this could make them more dangerous. If they get that publicly traded stock, then they have a currency to start buying other things. Next story.
So at the D conference, Jonathan Kaplan, who previously was the head of the company that produced Flip Cameras, announced that his next venture will involve making grilled cheese sandwiches. Specifically, Melt will be a chain of next-generation fast casual restaurants, allowing patrons to order grilled cheese on their phones, and then they pick up their orders using a simple QR code that's on the phone. Your code can be redeemed at any Melt restaurant. So if there's multiple in your city, you can go to any one. They're going to start with 5 locations in San Francisco. Kaplan plans to expand to 500 locations over the next 5 years. Here's what's interesting. VC juggernaut Sequoia Capital has stepped forward with an investment, and though he would not specify the amount, Kaplan hinted that it was in the neighborhood of $10 million and would be enough to open at least 20 Melt stores. So, do you think... What's the most important thing with this business? Is it working on this technology, or is it making incredibly delicious grilled cheese sandwiches? And would you put your money into such a scheme?
I ate the grilled cheese. It was delicious. The thing that's amazing is they have this Electrolux panini maker that hits it with like microwaves and a grill at the same time. Oh. It makes the grilled cheese in 75 seconds. It is one of the best grilled cheese sandwiches I've ever had, and I am a connoisseur of the grilled cheese.
You do love grilled cheese.
I do. You know that from the early days. Let's go get a grilled cheese. Delish. I think it's going to be a huge hit. I love the idea of ordering on your phone. That is a transformative thing for fast food. And so I think this could be huge. I mean, in Los Angeles has all these restaurants where you order at the counter and they bring it to you. To be able to just sit there, you're in the restaurant and you order and they bring it to your table, that's the future. That's how young people don't want to talk to each other. They just want to order on the phone and go. Cyan, what do you think? Cyan, any thoughts on the grill?
Well, I got to applaud him for doing something totally different outside of the realm of flip cameras. It took me a little bit by shock. There's a grilled cheese place here in San Francisco that has had lines going down the street for a year. And so clearly there's a market for grilled cheese sandwiches, and I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a genius idea. I think he's a genius investor. I may have played poker with him at a game that did not exist,
right.
And he was happy and having fun. And it's a great idea. It'll do great. I actually would invest if it was a reasonable valuation, because a chain of restaurants can actually make real money. I mean, there could be a lot of cheddar in this business. Hey, here we go.
That was pretty cheesy.
Oh, God. All right.
That's a good joke.
God, never ends.
No love for
Last story.
Wow, so much still to cover. Okay, we'll talk about Google Places. You want to talk about Google Places, or you want to talk about Amazon's Groupon Play?
Whatever you want to do. Go.
All right, we'll do Google Places' iPhone app is apparently scraping Yelp reviews for their results, all without linking back to Yelp or attributing the reviews. In the app, a featured section includes reviews from around the web. However, though the reviews seem to all be from Yelp, they are not identified as such and contain no links. So why do you think Google is refusing to credit Yelp so flagrantly? How should Yelp react?
I was hanging out with Jeremy at the D conference, spoke to him about these issues. Not a happy camper. This is a message to Google Local. You didn't get to buy Yelp. Please act with class and grace and stop ripping them off, and please respect their content. You're behaving like another company that is not Google. Be more googly. They don't need to steal this stuff. They should give something to Yelp. And as I said in my editorial, why don't they just pay Yelp a licensing fee for the reviews, even if they don't have to under fair use? Google makes it very much like, we're either going to take them under fair use or you can block us. Well, that's not really a choice for anybody. You can't block yourself from Google. That's like blocking yourself from the United States.
Right.
It's like pulling out of the market. They should have a third choice, which is you can license our content and pay us a fee. Every time you show pay us a fee of $250,000 a year, $250,000 a month. If those Yelp reviews are worth it, why doesn't Google take their checkbook out and license the content? They're more than willing to buy the content. They're more than willing to license Google Maps out to people. Google Maps charges people for licenses. Why doesn't Google license the Yelp reviews? Be fair. Cyan, what do you think?
Is it just another example of Google being evil? It really pisses me off, actually. And is it true that it's actually covered under fair use? Because I wouldn't suspect that.
Well, if you take an abstract, most people believe that a short abstract is fair use. Now, would Google go to the mat with that? I mean, no, Google has not. They say opt out of our search index if you don't like it. Well, that's sort of a BS position, I believe. They should have a third option, which is present a price to Google to use your content, even in abstract form, even in one sentence form.
Yeah, Google's starting to feel like an obese vegan.
The problem is that Google is going to believe it owns the web.
Wait a second. Google.
Google's an obese
The
vegan?
TriCaster's got 8,000 buttons. You can't make one of the buttons insights from Tyler?
That should be an insight from Tyler.
That's definitely an insight from Tyler.
That is
Insight from Tyler.
Wait a second, Tyler. You're saying that
They claim to be eating good and doing the right thing.
but yet they're fat.
But yet, you're clearly...
Something's going on.
Yes.
You
You're sneaking
say
some
you're
bacon
vegan,
on the side.
but you can't be that fat without eating a burger.
Exactly.
Ah, I love it. That's one I understand. Next story.
Oh, there more.
Last one.
Last one. Okay, so Twitter added some new features to their website this week. Now you will see photos and videos related to your Twitter search directly on the results page. You won't need to leave Twitter to take a look. As well, now photos can be uploaded and attached directly to tweets through Twitter and its mobile apps, eliminating the need for external services like TwitPic or YFrog and some of the others. Twitter is partnering with Firefox for the new search enhancements and PhotoBucket for the photo hosting. According to TechCrunch, TwitPic was not approached by Twitter in advance of this announcement, though both YFrog and Plixie were approached, and PhotoBucket was eventually brought in on the deal. So if you're TwitPic, obviously this puts you in sort of a corner. How would you pivot? What would you do next?
You kill
and
yourself.
Is there any hope for these
No,
kinds of companies?
You kill yourself. I mean, it's just not. There's nothing you can do. I mean, and I said this over and over again. Why doesn't Twitter have? I mean, I rode Jack and Ev about this. Like, you've been with me when I've talked about it. You have to have image hosting if you want to be a real social network. And the reason they told me was they didn't have the network capabilities to do it. They were so behind trying to keep the service open and scale it. They said, Jason, if we had images, can you imagine? We can't keep the service up without images. You add images, we're going to be crushed.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is a turning point. Twitter has released more products in the last 3 months than they have in the last 2 years. They are on a tear. Twitter is going to have a boom in terms of traffic because of this, and they're going to launch video as well.
What do you think about them scaling back lists and favorites? You think those are on their way out? Or
No,
is it
they'll
just a
keep those.
design
They'll
thing?
keep those. Yeah. Thoughts, Cyan, on image hosting?
I just think it's about time. It's pretty awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been a neat feature. Vivek,
I agree. I mean, I'm a big Twitter fan, a big Twitter user, and I can see Twitter becoming a platform and taking on more and more functionality. I don't know why they didn't do it before.
And what's your advice, Vivek, to companies that are building features for other platforms like TwitPic and these other people?
They better get ready to get run over, because just like we were talking about Google earlier on, Twitter has the same capabilities right now. And Facebook is probably start doing that as well to its partners. That's the way this industry goes.
Why is there not a viable Facebook or Twitter coexist or competitor today? Cyan? Why has nobody risen to the occasion to compete with Twitter or Facebook?
Well, I think that, one of the obvious choices would have been MySpace, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And I think mostly it's just a matter of getting to scale really fast, and there's only a few players that are actually at that scale. And Facebook is really the only competitor to Twitter at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Are they the same service? Are they competing with each other, Twitter and Facebook, or are they two different services?
I think they compete. I absolutely, when I think about doing a status update, well, yes and no. I think one is based on an audience of people who are not necessarily your friend graph, and one is based on a friend graph. And so, yes and no.
Yeah. They're competing when you want to do a status update. Yeah.
No, actually, the difference between making a phone call and sending an SMS. That you don't have to. There's much less noise on Twitter than on Facebook, so it's a different tool altogether.
Awesome. This has been an amazing program. Thank you to Cyan. Thank you to Vivek. You guys were awesome first timers, and we will have you back again. Thank you to Trada, and thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the program. We could not do it without you. It truly means a lot to me personally that at Squarespace and at Trada support independent media like this. And if you are thankful for them for supporting us to get into HD, so you can see my Full Tilt logo here. Please, God, let poker come back to the United States. I'm dying. And all this beautiful stuff you can see in HD. That's because of TriCaster. It's because of the support of people like Trada and Squarespace. Thank you. It is your geary. It is your humble honor. It is your duty to thank them on your Twitter account. Just say thank you at Trada. Thank you at Squarespace. Thank you at Newtek, Newtek. They make the TriCaster. Lon, great job on the news. Thank you to Ranker.com for giving you the afternoon off. Let's go drink some port. They don't know about that part of the deal.
No, I don't think Ranker's...
And hey, after the program at 3 o'clock, we're having the producers meeting.
Right.
And so Twist List, you're going to be there for it, right?
No, I got to get back.
Stay. Swear, tell me I want you to be here. Tell him I'll tweet a couple times. I'll give you 3 tweets. Stay for the afternoon. We'll have lunch. Anyway, join the twistlist.co, become a producer of the show, and you will be on the mailing list with me, Tyler Lon. It's a lot of fun to be on the mailing list discussing the show.
I'm learning a ton.
Right.
They're having fascinating conversations, behind-the-scenes stuff all day on that list.
Basically, you get to be an executive producer for $100 a month, and a producer for $50, associate producer for $25. Some kid was emailing me. He's going to Harvard Business School. He said, "What should I do? How should I make my career?" I said, "Listen, spend the $75,000 a year on that, and spend $1,000 a year being a producer of the show. You'll be on the email list. You'll pick the guests on the show. You pick the topics. You come up with the questions. You'll learn a hell of a lot more on that list in 1 month than you're going to learn at the Harvard Business School for a decade." Well, maybe not that, but close.
There's a lot of really fascinating stuff going on.
And now we keep building the benefits.
Yes.
Every time I do a speaking gig somewhere, they give me 5 free tickets. The Rewrite Web had me do the keynote.
Right.
5 free tickets. Boom. All 5 of the 70 producers took the tickets. And we're going to let the executive producers get cards. They're going to get business cards. And they're going to get in the IMDb. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. What do you think of the Twist list? You been enjoying it?
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's very active.
20 emails a day.
I honestly can't keep up.
Yeah. I know, but they're like, we're doing the IPO show.
Right.
So they're planning the show, and they helped us get the guests. They helped the topics. We're doing a whole show on IPOs.
Research. I mean, they're doing intense amounts of research.
It's like my paid internship thing. That editorial I wrote on the paid internships is based on this. It's apprenticeship. This is like if you wanted to work in the film business, you wanted to work in the television business, you could be a pioneer in it by just joining the list and supporting it. And we're trying to get to $75,000 because that's what it'll cost to build a new studio. And we're going to build the new studios next door. Anyway, what a great show. Great job, tech guys, in getting the TriCaster up in record time. Yeah. Now you just have to learn how to use it.
Oh.
Zing, pow!
They figured out how to put you in the Phantom Zone live.
Well, they did. They
put
okay.
you in the Phantom
We're
Zone
going to get out of here, but one more time, Zod. You gotta give me one word, Zod. Booyah. Booyah. Where's my Zod? You gotta Zod me out. Put Tyler in the Zod box. While we, there we go. There's me.
Right.
Boom. Now, that's, yeah. No, you gotta just close up on me, and then you gotta do a Tyler shot in the main frame. Ah! Zod! No!
Right. And then they send you into deep space.
And they send me into deep space, exactly.
Yeah.
Kneel before Zod.
That's how they do things on
Kneel
Krypton.
before. Bring me the son of Jor-El. Will they ever remake Superman 2?
They're doing the new Superman movie that they're making now. Zack Snyder's making Man of Steel, and Zod is the bad guy. It's going to be Michael Shannon. You know Michael Shannon from Boardwalk Empire? Yeah.
Oh, that is my favorite villain. Like, it's like, for me, it's like Darth Vader or Zod.
Zod's great, and it's nice that they're going with someone other than Lex Luthor.
Here's a great idea for a film. You know they did Predators versus Aliens?
Yes.
How about Darth Vader versus Zod?
I think if Lucasfilm would free that up, it would be great.
Dude, can you tell who would win? Zod is like Superman, but Darth Vader's got a lightsaber. Would a lightsaber cut Superman?
You're saying, can the Force overpower the power of people from Krypton under the influence of the Earth?
What would if a lightsaber makes contact with Superman or Zod? What happens? It burns their costume?
No, it's supposed to be only kryptonite can hurt them. So
what
I would assume
if Darth Vader had a lightsaber that
was made of krypton?
No, it had kryptonite crystals in it.
Yeah, if it's got kryptonite, then.
But it's not 100% kryptonite. It's enough kryptonite to burn or knock him out. So it has to
I
have some
look
parity.
a little like Kevin Smith, but I don't really know.
All right, sorry. All right, we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.